Okay, now let's go over the Need for Speed. I really am interested in just checking this one out. I have not tested out. This is literally going to be my first reaction on everything regarding the Need for Speed. I have heard nothing but good things regarding this ability. So I will be just doing some, checking it out and doing some testing behind it. So let's go. Whoa, what the? Jesus. No wonder everyone was going crazy over this ability. What the hell? I need to check it out again. And I missed. Okay. That really has to be a percentage movement speed. That is crazy. Whoa, what is this? I will be doing some testing. So hold on, give me a sec. Oh my god. So I removed Vampire and Vanquisher, so my movement speed is 117. Let's just see. 200. What? It is by far the strongest movement speed buff in the game? Oh, we're in for a good one. And once I'm done with all of the testing, we are going to be talking about all of this ability because this sounds really nuts, not gonna lie. That's 373 movement speed. Oh my god. That's without ult and no pyro. Oh no. And that's also without max gear. Did I saw like 436? Oh my god, look at this movement speed. Whee! And a crash. I didn't even realize that you can actually stack with Path Painter as well. Oh my god, let me see how much movement speed we can actually achieve. And I'm dead. I always die in this goddamn intros. What the hell is wrong with me? I just saw 482 movement speed. Oh lord. Let's go for 500, let's see.
Wow!
563 movement speed. Oh my god. So I really don't need to explain how dumb this movement speed buff is. Like, running a character like this one is just absolutely ridiculous to think about. So yes, I really don't need to just tell you how good this ability modifier really is. But instead of just trying to over-explain to you how good the ability is, because obviously a movement speed buff of this caliber is just absolutely ridiculous, I'm going to be explaining to you if this makes this character the best overall dungeon grinding character in the game. Does this surpasses the Neon Ninja? Spoiler alert. It doesn't, in my own personal opinion. I'm going to explain why. But yeah, generally for sure, I'm just going to tell you that even though in my own opinion, I still think the Neon Ninja is better than this Need for Speed Lunar Lancer, this character is by far among the top 3 dungeon grinding characters in the entire game. You could argue being the second best, or you could even argue being the best. I really am not going to take anything away from you if you actually do say that this character is the best. I'm going to explain my reasoning of why do I think it's not the best dungeon grinding despite having this movement speed buff, and yeah, all that in between. So as always, hello and welcome to another gameplay video. I'm your host JonNario, and today I'm going to be talking about the Need for Speed ring ability on the Lunar Lancer. So the Lunar Lancer is just going to be now the fastest character in the entire game by far, and because this movement speed buff is absolutely ridiculous. Let's read the description on Need for Speed, which is just going to be as follows. After damaging enemies with the Lunar Infused Grapple, you get a movement speed buff instead of the normal damage buff. And so yeah, normally the Lunar Infused Grapple is just going to be after you do the Lunar Leap, you're going to get the purple grapple, which is just going to be the Empowered Grapple. So that is going to be Lunar Infused Grapple. That is going to normally give you a damage increase for around 7-8 seconds. I don't remember how much it is, but instead of right now with this Need for Speed ability, instead of just giving you the damage increase, it's going to give you a movement speed increase of the same amount of percentage. So the percentage that you actually do get with this is going to be an 85% bonus physical damage. Again, bonus physical damage means it's going to be a percentage of your base damage. So it's going to be at 85% of your base physical damage normally. In the case of the Need for Speed ability, instead of just being a plus 85% bonus physical damage, it's going to be that plus 85% movement speed. So yes, it is going to be by far the highest movement speed buff in the entire game. Like, there's no movement speed buff that actually surpasses this. The only character that comes close is going to be the Draco's lava movement speed buff, which is 75%, and then it's going to be go down to Path Painter 60, and then it's going to be Neon Ninja 50, yada yada yada. You get the point. So yeah, and this is going to be 85%, and it's going to last the same amount of time of around 8 seconds. And yeah, the cooldown is just going to be tied to the actual Lunar Leap, which I do believe Lunar Leap have a 15-second cooldown. So yeah, with all of that keep in mind, so why in my opinion, despite having a plus 85% movement speed, I don't need to just repeat myself that how dumb that sounds. That sounds ridiculous. Like 85% bonus movement speed, like you can just literally just turn your character like this one, like what? So yeah, this movement speed is absolutely ridiculous. I consider that the character after the rework now has a much better momentum building. You know, the character is honestly really powerful, but it does not make the character the best dungeon grinding character despite having the strongest movement speed buff in the entire game, and that's just because a couple of reasons. Number one, the movement speed buff has a cooldown comparable to the Neon Ninja that does not have a cooldown, and this one does have a cooldown. Number two, it has to trigger if you do hit an enemy with Lunar Infused Grapple. So you have to do a Lunar Leap and then you have to do a grapple, which is just going to be bad for momentum building because the grapple on its own actually kills your movement speed completely upon landing. So as you're clearly going to see right around here, if I do kill this enemy right here and if I use the grapple, hold forward, yeah, you can actually just see that it kills a little bit on the movement speed. It's not that big of a deal, but you know, it's going to matter a lot more considering that if you actually just get yourself into a dungeon and if you do the Lunar Leap, you have to do the Lunar Leap in the dungeon. You cannot use the Lunar Leap outside of the dungeon, which creates a lot of inconsistency with the character. And let me just tell you, inconsistency is one of the things that is not going to make this character just ultimately better than the Neon Ninja, because even despite having higher movement speed, it generally doesn't make it that much of a difference, because most of the players obviously usually can't control this amount of movement speed. But even if you can control this amount of movement speed, you have to take into account that you have to hit an enemy every single time with Lunar Leap, not Lunar Leap, Lunar Infused Grapple. But if you do actually have to, first of all, let's just say for example, if you do see an enemy, the Lunar Leap can one shot, so that could be immediately that could mean that you can just lose the entirety of the movement speed and then you have to search on for a new enemy. Number two, it means that if you do miss the Lunar Infused Grapple, which you can miss, by the way, it can happen, especially if the server is a little bit laggy, and considering that this is Trove, it's very commonly to happen. But yeah, you can actually just have something like this, miss the grapple, and there you go, no movement speed buff for 15 seconds. So it creates a lot of inconsistency with the character, but if you manage to pull it off, then you move on really quickly. In the case of the Neon Ninja has a movement speed buff that you can activate it whenever you want. So you don't need enemies, you don't need anything, you generally just activate it and you get the 50% movement speed buff on a non-cooldown ability that increases actual speed momentum, because the Shadow Flame actually just gives you like the same range as something like a dodge. So is that a lot of people still do backflips with the character because the backflip actually just gives you a little bit more forward momentum, you could say backwards momentum in a way, but yeah, you get the point. The Neon Ninja is just ultimately that much more consistent, and considering that this character doesn't necessarily one-shot until you start hitting higher stat, unless you one-shot with the Lunar Infused Grapple, which does 8 times damage, by the way, so that is going to be really good. So if you do manage to one-shot with an 8 times damage multiplier ability, that's actually really good. But the problem is that then you have to sacrifice the gain of the movement speed buff in order for you to actually being able to one-shot. The good thing is that the Lunar Lancer is more than capable of actually just one-shotting everything. Besides just using Lunar Infused Grapple, you can use the ultimate ability and just move really quickly. And yeah, the character is just going to be ultimately, great. That's why I'm not going to argue if you think the character is the best dungeon grinding character in the entire game, because despite the Neon Ninja, in my opinion, being better, this character is nothing to scoff at. This character is really powerful, and it is something that you have to keep in mind. Like the character is still ultimately incredibly powerful and incredibly easy to use, and not only that, the character is just going to be better at the early game comparable to the Neon Ninja. That's definitely a thing that I will give this character. This character is better in the early game than the Neon Ninja, but as an overall dungeon, like end game dungeon grinding character for like the most efficient dungeon grinding, I would probably still give the edge to the Neon Ninja, because it still has some of the other problems that I did mention. Like for example, like if you do kill an enemy with the Lunar Lead, then you have to search another enemy with the Lunar Infused Grapple. If you do miss the Lunar Infused Grapple, then you're stuck on a 15-second cooldown. And to top it all off, activating Lunar Leap actually gives you slow fall. So if you're using, let's just say, if you're just completing a dungeon that is way upstairs, this is going to be much more noticeable. By the way, on Dells, I'm just going to put a little bit of a spoiler alert, but yeah, I'm just going to say that if you do, let's just say you encounter a boss and you manage to do a lunar leap, and if you do kill with the lunar leap, let's just say you are pretty much stuck in slow falling in the air for a little while. And even more so if you actually, let's just say you activate the ability and the enemy is just way too far away, so you have to essentially just hover directly to the enemy, which is not necessarily a good thing comparable to something like the Neon Ninja. Let me just go into the Neon Ninja so you can actually just see what I mean. So if I actually do go with the Neon Ninja, something like this, the Neon Ninja now with this addition that they add in with the Depth Stepper update, you can just generally just throw down this ability and just generally just maintain all the movement speed buff really quickly. And why do you see me just losing movement speed? And it is more than capable of just doing this against every single enemy. And I'm not even using Zealous Emblem. Like, you can actually just even use Zealous Emblem, kill enemies one shot, move around, and then, you know, generally the character is just much easier to move around, as you're clearly going to see. The Neon Ninja is just, you know, much more consistent. That's why I take it over the Lunar Lancer. So in the case of the Lunar Lancer, if you do mess with the Lunar Infused Grapple, that's it. You don't get any movement speed buff, and you don't even kill the enemy, so you waste a lot of times. So that's another thing to keep in mind. But if you do manage to hit an enemy, there you go, you're moving incredibly quickly. And yeah, it is going to be just something to keep a note of. Comparable to the Neon Ninja, the Neon Ninja just has much more flexibility with the movement speed. Comparable to this character, with this character, like, I cannot, if I wanted to go down, I cannot use the movement speed buff. I had to use the movement speed buff right around here, and then that's when I actually get the movement speed buff. And by the time that I actually do get into, let's just say, a dungeon once again, so I had to just keep a notice whenever I can just use the ability once again. I use the ability once again, and I had to search for an enemy, and then that's how I just get more movement speed buff. In the case of the Neon Ninja, it's much more consistent, but that's what I mentioned once again. This character has a potential of being the best dungeon grinding character in the entire game. That's why I will not argue this over the Neon Ninja. But this character on its own, it has obviously some notable problems, some notable issues with the Need for Speed ability, which is going to be even more apparent in Delves. So let me just go into the Delves right around now, so you can actually just see what I mean. So if I actually do get a port right around here, I have a 121. So let me just go into a 121, and you are going to see so many notable problems. Like, this is something that I definitely noticed on Delves when I was trying to just get the movement speed buff. Luckily, the character is, you don't need to use a lot of Path Painter, because this character is a literal walking Path Painter on its own. But even still, like, a problem that I did notice on the Delves is, since Delves has a lot of verticality, a lot of things that you are definitely going to notice is going to be like, if I'm trying to go down, you literally saw that slow fall, which is definitely a big problem with this character. And considering that in Delves, it is extremely enclosed, it's extremely close range, and the movement speed buff is just going to be so high that it's just going to be borderline uncontrollable, and you're going to bump into every single wall that you see everywhere. So that's not necessarily going to make the character better. And when it comes to Delves, there are better options, in my own personal opinion. I can easily just complete Delves with some of the other characters much easier and much greater than this character. And let's just say, like, for example, you miss right there, you lose all the movement speed, and yeah, it's just going to be ultimately a problem with this character. And I'm just going to say that outright. Even still, like, if you can just pull it off, you can move incredibly quickly. You can move like this, and that is absolutely ridiculous to think about. Like, having a character that can just move on like this one, it is extremely powerful. But if there's a lot of verticality where you actually just kill an enemy, miss the Lunar Infused Grapple, is just going to have a lot of problems with this character. So if there's a lot of verticality with this character, it's going to be an issue. And considering that Delves has a lot of stairs like rooms, and except with this room, for example, this room have like really good rooms, like what the hell. But yeah, in the case of the other rooms where there's a lot of verticality where you have to jump in, and the slow falling is just going to be an issue. Let's just say, for example, you had to go down and then you activate Lunar Infuse, and then you had to essentially just float around and just wait until the slow falling goes away. And once the slow falling goes away, you lose the Lunar Infuse grapple, so you don't get any movement speed buff, and then you have to wait in the 15 seconds. So that is something that you are definitely going to notice in Delves, more so than in Geo Topside. So in Geo Topside, you're definitely going to notice it. It's just that slow falling is going to be an issue, and not only that, not only the slow falling with this character, the fact that it is very reliant on you actually being able to hit the enemy with the Lunar Infused grapple, not Lunar Leave, not the regular grapple. It has to be Lunar Infused grapple. So if you're strong enough and you can dish out pretty high damage, it means that you can actually just kill enemies with the actual Lunar Leap. So if you only find one enemy, let's just say you're running around in the Delves, let's just look for a room where there's only like one enemy, so you can actually just see what I mean. So if, let's just say, for example, I'm running around just doing my own normal thing, and I just see one enemy right around here, just one enemy in the room. If I activate the Lunar Leap, I'm slow falling. If the next room is going to be a staircase downstairs, you're essentially just floating around waiting until your slow falling goes away. That is essentially the same problem that you see on something like the Gunslinger. The Gunslinger has a problem with the slow fall passive ability. That's why the character is not good at dungeon grinding. That passive ability alone literally kills the character, and it is going to be a similar issue with this character. And considering that this character also has a slow fall, and the slow fall lasts for longer, I do believe the slow fall is 5 seconds rather than the Gunslinger's 2 seconds. That's why it's something like the float like a butterfly from the Neon Ninja is going to be something that I personally don't like, and it's going to be a terrible ability modifier. I might just do a video on that one in the near future, just explaining why the float like a butterfly is literally not good. And I don't know why I keep seeing people just talking about it like it is really good. My god, that movement speed is just broken. But yeah, it's going to be something that you are definitely going to notice, and those little issues that you see with the slow falling, relying on you hitting the enemy with the actual Lunar Infused grapple and all that good stuff, is why I take the Neon Ninja over this character for dungeon grinding. But if you can pass all of that, 85% movement speed, for crying out loud, that's ridiculous to think about. And if you do have the Bard subclass, that's literally double movement speed for 3 seconds, and then for the remaining of the Lunar Infused grapple, it's going to be essentially going to be 85% movement speed for 5 more seconds after you activate the Bard sub. So yeah, it does have some ridiculous amounts of potential. So you can just actually just move around like this one. That's so broken, my god. So yeah, the Lunar Lancer is absolutely brilliant. The Need for Speed is absolutely brilliant. I do feel that this is a ridiculously strong ability, but it has some notable weaknesses that I'm not going to overlook them. So yeah, that's essentially the reason why I don't take this character over the Neon Ninja. And despite that, the Neon Ninja still has more chances of one-shotting over this character, considering the heuristic hacks are the clashing ability is ridiculously strong. But this character is no joke, so give it a spin. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the Lunar Lancer Need for Speed in the comment section down below. So I'm just going to say that don't take this like I'm just saying that this ability is bad. It's not. I just keep saying it from the beginning of the video. It's absolutely ridiculous. 85% movement speed is no joke. But the thing is, it's just going to be that even though the 85% movement speed is going to be ridiculously powerful, it still needs some setup in order to make it work. And the setup can be just very hit or miss, which is not going to ultimately make the character that much greater. But yeah, that's going to be everything for me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for checking out as always. Leave a like, subscribe for more content like this, road to 4K subscriber, and I hope to see you guys next time. Take care as always, and keep on hunting. See ya.